How's it going, YouTube? My name is MBS and thank you for tuning into my video. Now, what we're going to be going over is the Shield Knight Recovery Spec in-depth guide, alright? For those of you that don't want to stick around too long here, I want to be respectful of your time and I'll show you everything right away. Boom. Okay. For the gear, what I want you guys to understand is that you're going to be hunting for stuff that has strength, crit, and mastery as its main stats. When you pop over into the gear tab here, what you're looking for is all of the different stats here. Right now, I have legendary gear, so I have a lot of stats that roll with it. What you want to be paying attention to is these two right here. These two are fixed stats that cannot change. You can't re-roll these whatsoever. So what you're going to try to farm for is stuff that has that crit and that mastery. Now, this fourth stat, this fourth advanced attribute that you get on here, that does get re-rolled. What you do is you bring this over to the gear workshop and you constantly keep reforging past the number of times that you've reached up to 100. So in order to reforge your gear, you're going to want to talk to Maxim here, okay? On the map, he's rated around down here, and this is where the gear workshop is located. You talk to him, and you go into the Reforge tab here. Now, what this is going to do is you have a perfection meter right here. You got 100 out of 100 for this one because I've reforged this a total of, I believe, 8 times. Yeah, I've reforged this 8 times, and I've got my perfection score up to 100. What this is letting me do is it constantly keeps re-rolling this last node here, this last advanced attribute, and I was able to finally get crit on this, okay? Now, I have some other pieces here that I've re-rolled this one. I've re-rolled this one 8 times. This one I have re-rolled 7 times. And you can see I'm just barely not at that 100% perfection here. The reason why I'm not doing any more is because I have a crit roll on it. And I don't want to get rid of that and constantly keep re-rolling to find another crit after that. Now, the gloves, I believe, are my... Yeah, these are God roll gloves right here. I was able to get crit up to 100, mastery to 50, and I was able to roll another mastery on there. I might want to re-roll that mastery into another crit, so I would keep reforging this over time. Now, the beautiful part about reforging is that the game remembers how many times you did it, right, via the 9 right here, and if you ever find something else, let's say I was reforging these, right, but this crit and versatility that's not perfect for my build. If I was to re-roll that one, like let's say 11 times, all the resources that I used on it, I'll get every single one of them back. So you don't have to worry about saving resources to constantly keep reforging. Now, you have a lot of pieces of gear that you can get all of this on. You've got a total of 11 pieces of gear, so you got a lot of work ahead of you in order to get all of the pieces to have the god roll that you want, okay? But it's not that hard, and there is ways to make it faster for you as well. One of the ways that I'm talking about is called cheer up treats, okay? Cheer up treats, you'll find them right here. What they do is that whenever you do complete a dungeon, this is going to increase the loot pool that you get. Normally, you'd probably get like 1, maybe 2 pieces of gear. And if you get lucky, you get a nice roll out of it. But there are so many different dungeons that have different rewards, and you're going to need to farm up a lot of these cheer up treats in order to get the most out of your dungeon runs. Now, before I even knew about these cheer up treats, I was running the same dungeon like 50 times before I could find a piece of gear that I kind of liked. Now, with these cheer up treats, that cuts that down by a third of the time. You understand? So these are definitely something you want to keep your eyes out for. And if you want to not buy these, but you want to cook these instead, you can come right here to how to obtain, and you can look at right here, culinary cheer up treat. And as you can see right here, here's the cost. You need to farm up these emerald apples. You need to farm up honey and flour if you're interested on making these yourself, okay? And if you're going to farm up these apples, you got to farm up any one of these botany things right here. So the umu fruits, the granny pine, all this stuff right here. For the honey, the way that you collect this is... Oh, wait a minute. The way that you collect this is by farming up beehives, which you will get from the Deadly Bazaar, all these bazaars and stuff like that. And of course, for flour, you just got to find a bunch of wheat. And we've already seen there's a giant wheat field. You'll find it along in the story, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. Okay? Very, very simple, straightforward. And let's get over into the skills. First off, Blade of Justice. This is your light attack. It's your basic thing. You're going to be spamming this the most. All right? Nothing too crazy here. The more that you hit with this, the more damage it does. You have a combo attack here that it ramps up the further into the combo you go. Now, what's important to understand about this class is you've got multiple different resources. For the Shield Knight, you've got 3 main resources that you want to keep track of, all right? You've got Holy Sigil, you got Photon Energy, and it doesn't say it here, but I'll show you later, it's Radiant Shield. Let's go over these 2 first. The Holy Sigil, you have a resource required to cast special attacks and some expertise. The expertise this includes is Valor Bash and Reckoning. These are 2 of the most spammed attacks that we have outside of Judgment. You have 5 of these Holy Sigils, and when you use them, they go on a 10-second cooldown after they're consumed, and they generate 10 Photon Energy. Now, Photon Energy is how we're going to be casting Judgment. This resource, it maxes out at 100. You never want to have it up to 100 the entire time. You want to make sure that you are spamming your ability in order to constantly keep getting heals. I'll go over that in just a little bit. Now let's go over Valor Bash here. Valor Bash is going to use 1 Holy Sigil and deal a Shield Bash in front of you, dealing attack damage to enemies. This is also going to increase your armor, stacking up to 3 times. Now, the more that you rank up this ability here, you're going to be getting more armor every single time you bash. You can stack this again 3 times, and it's going to last 10 seconds. Now, the last main ability you have up on the top here is your ultimate. This is Radiant Infusion. What it says is you unleash holy energy to strike nearby enemies, dealing attack damage and inflicting dazzle for 5 seconds. Dazzle forces the enemy to move into melee range of their current target to attack. This does not affect bosses, and this is a status effect. So this is how you kind of gather in your crossbowmen that will constantly want to keep shooting you from Timbuktu, that you're annoyed that they're not standing inside of the entire AoE death circle that you and your entire party have. This also grants Radiant Shield equal to 300% attack. Now, let me go over Radiant Shield for you. This infuses your shield with light, absorbing 50% of all incoming damage. The effect can stack absorption and reset duration when the skill is reused. Max absorption cannot exceed 100% of your max HP. This is one of your main mitigations to all damage that you will ever experience in this game. If you have Radiant Shield, you are going to be very tanky. The longer the fight goes on, the more Radiant Shield you're going to be building up, increasing your tankiness across the entire fight. Now, whenever you do use your ultimate here, for the next 10 seconds, you instantly refresh 1 Holy Seal? It's meant to say Sigil. The translation's a little rough. For every 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds, you're going to get another Holy Sigil back. And it's going to prioritize the Holy Sigil with the longest remaining cooldown. So whenever you pop your ultimate, you're constantly getting a lot of your abilities back online. And it also generates 10 Photon Energy every 2 seconds as well along with that. So you're going to be able to spam your Valor Bash, your Judgment, and your Reckoning a lot whenever you use your ultimate ability. Judgment. This is your main heal ability right here. This is going to consume 45 Photon Energy to call down a blast of holy light on the target area, dealing attack damage and healing yourself based on HP lost. Now, I'm going to go over this in a little bit, but Judgment pairs together with Divine Circle down over here. This is going to create a giant AoE beneath your feet, and it's going to heal you and your allies, as well as dealing damage to the enemies every single second. Moving on over into Reckoning, this is a big time damage for you right here, and it's AoE. This is going to consume 2 Holy Sigils, and it performs a fiery blade strike at all nearby enemies, dealing attack damage. Pretty damn straightforward, but we have a lot of things that are going to evolve this ability here. I'll go over that in just a little bit. Now let's go over Shield Toss. What you do is you toss your shield out there, it flies around you in a bit of a circle, and it's going to taunt anybody that it hits, and also interrupt their actions, as well as reducing the damage dealt by 10% for 10 seconds. This ability has a 12-second cooldown. It is not tied to your Holy Sigils or your Photon Energy. It's just on a 12-second cooldown. Lastly, let's go over Aegis Ward. This is a main tank ability here, and it's not gonna lie, it's kind of busted on what it does. What this does is that you summon Aegis Ward to shield yourself, automatically countering lethal skills while increasing armor and damage reduction. So basically, if anything is about to kill you, it doesn't. It says it right here that if you take fatal amount of damage while this effect is active, the effect is consumed to prevent death and immediately restore 25% of your HP. So if you're about to die, you pop this and you don't die. Pretty damn straightforward. And it lasts for 10 seconds. Now, this ability is so much more complicated than that because of all of the talents that we're going to pick up. And I'm going to explain every single one of them, so just bear with me a little bit, alright? Let's move on over into the imagines here before we move over to the talents. I don't have any crazy imagines coming in yet. I'm still in the process of farming them up, but I'll give you some very good recommendations here. Shadow Captain, you get this pretty damn early on. I've been using him for a very, very long time now. There's nothing like too like super crazy about this. You'll get a huge bomb that this thing shoots out in an AoE. And you can also interrupt people's action, the enemy's actions, as well as whenever you do cast this, the damage dealt and healing of your expertise skills are increased for a period, and this is going to be a 16% increase at rank 1, and this is going to last for 20 seconds. So if you ever want to have an increase to your damage and healing, boom, pop this out there, which is pretty much all the time, so basically spam this on cooldown. Next, I have Great Warthog. This is going to do a crazy big attack in an AoE again, and then upon me casting this skill, my light bonus is increased for a period. This is going to be an 8% increase again for 20 seconds. So, like I said before, I just spam these on cooldown, and we're getting massive benefits. They both have passive effects. Great Warthog gives you light bonus plus 3%. That's going to give you more damage with light attacks. And then the passive effect for the Shadow Captain here, this is going to increase my skill damage and healing by another 6% here. So it is very nice. What I would prefer is Tempest Ogre for sure. This is by far one of the best things you can ever run for a tank. What this is going to do for you is going to summon this Tempest Ogre, and it's going to pull in via a vortex all of the nearby enemies. The damage that it does is, one, first of all, it's insane. And two, because you're pulling in all of the enemies into one spot, you are now creating an AoE death circle for you and your party to absolutely obliterate. All of those pesky crossbowmen and mages that don't want to come into melee range, this is how you handle that situation. The passive effect is also insane. Every 10 seconds, you strike down with lightning on a random target, and you deal thunder damage equal to 37.3 attack. Pretty damn respectable. Much more damage there. Taking damage reduces the lightning trigger interval, so because we're a tank and we're getting hit all of the time, especially if we have a lot of mobs hitting us, we're going to be casting a lot of these lightning strikes, and every single time we do hit this trigger, it reduces the cooldown of active resonance skills by 0.5 seconds. So we're getting so much more cooldown. We are getting a lot of extra damage from this. And anybody that is hit with this is also doing 5% less damage to us, making us even more tanky for 3 seconds. The next one is completely up to you. I personally would want to run Olvera because, again, this is something that draws enemies in along the path that she strikes. Not to mention as well, we also get this passive effect where we're getting that extra 6% strength, since that's what we're using for our main stat. You can use this for anybody. This is a beautiful, beautiful crowd control battle imagine here for you to pick up. Now, with all that out of the way, let's move on over into the talents here. First things off is you're going to be able to pick up every single one of these talents here. Don't worry about it. You are eventually going to pick up everything. Just go ahead and pick what you want along the way of you leveling. Once you get into the recovery spec, this is going to be the paths that you can take here. I would recommend sticking more towards the left side here as we progress, and then slowly start working your way on the right, because I am going to be more heavy on the left side, as you can see. All right. Now, going into this deep dive, we're going to go over each and every one of these skills to show you what they actually do and how they interact with each other. We'll just work ourselves left to right, so it's really easy for you guys to understand. Okay. Now, Holy Light Time Limit. What this one does is whenever Aegis Ward is active, your expertise skills, which is your Judgment, your Reckoning, and your Shield Toss, whenever they deal critical damage, there's a 50-50 chance that they get to instantly refresh a Holy Sigil. prioritizing the one with the longest cooldown. Next, we got Radiant Guard. Whenever you do cast that shield toss, you're going to add more Radiant Shield. Like I said, Radiant Shield is your damage mitigation. And you're also going to get an extra charge of that shield toss. So you're able to keep your taunting capabilities active at all times. Next, we've got Divine Circle Defender. While you're standing inside of that circle, your Valor Bash is going to give you 30% more armor. Right here, Radiant Heal, more healing from your Judgment. Can't argue with that one. Let's move on over into Oracle here. Now, the translation is a little bit messed up, but I'll explain it real simple for you. Whenever you use Valor Bash or you use Reckoning, and they critically hit, you're going to get even more light energy. With light energy, I think is meaning photon energy. So you're going to be getting an additional bit of photon energy, 30% to be exact. And then the critical damage of your Judgment, because that's what consumes this light energy or photon energy, I believe. The critical damage is going to be increased by 30%. That's what this is meaning here. This is beautiful to have, so it's basically whenever you get crits, you do more. Now, we picked up every single one of these along the way. We picked up this endurance, we picked up this endurance, this strength, this light attack, this strength. Now we're going to have to be very picky choosy with what we pick. This is where it gets important for you to really start tracking where you're going here. Next, I would pick this strength on the right side here. Alright, because I'm going to want to pick this up later. First, we get Wreck and Blaze. Wreck and Blaze is whenever your Valor Badge deals critical damage, or whenever you activate Aegis Ward, your Reckoning turns into Inferno Reckoning. This is an evolution of the original Reckoning. All it basically does is that it doubles the damage of Reckoning, and it makes it so that it doesn't consume any Holy Sigils, but it still generates the photon energy. So next, up to you. I've got two different paths here. You can go down this side over here to pick up this light attack right here, and then work your way over to Reckon Shield. So each time Inferno Reckon, which we picked up from over here, this Reckon Blaze, each time Inferno Reckon or Reckoning deals critical damage to one enemy target, block chance is increased by 5%. Now, block chancing is whenever you do get this block proc, you're going to reduce the attack damage that it blocked by 30%. So if an attack is to hit you for 100 damage, you're going to only receive 70 damage, right? Now this stacks up 5 times, which is going to give you 25% block chance every single time you're getting these crits from Reckoning. And this is going to last for 10 seconds per stack. Next, we've got Holy Barrier. This thing is beautiful. If you ever want to feel nice and cozy while a boss is trying to beat your ass the entire time, and you're sitting behind this thing with a cup of tea, minding your own business, it feels great. It feels fucking phenomenal. You've got to pick this up if you're running a Shield Knight, okay? So whenever you do cast your ultimate ability, it puts a Holy Barrier right in front of you that blocks damage for friendly targets. You're also a friendly target. And the Holy Barrier disappears after taking a total damage of 200% of your max HP or 15 seconds. The amount of times I've put this right in front of a boss and I could literally just like sit there, lean back, put my foot up, and enjoy the view for a little bit is so damn hilarious. But of course, I'm still going to want to parse and get as much damage out as possible. All right. So I highly recommend you pick up Holy Barrier, if anything else. Next, we're going to be moving over to get this strength on this side over here, because we're going to want to work down the right side of the tree here. Okay. Next up after that is you're going to want to pick up Ultimate Guard. For 10 seconds after casting that shield toss, you're going to get even more block chance. It's another 15% here. Now, this is going to also work in tangent with your Reckoning Shield. You're going to get at max 25% block chance from here, 15% from here, bringing you up to 40% chance to mitigate 30% of the damage coming in. Now, this next talent point here is super important. This is going to take you to a whole nother bit of damage here. All right. When Shield Toss or Judgment deals damage, you have a 10% chance to trigger this effect. This is Divine Strike. All right. If crit damage is dealt, the chance is increased to 50%. Now, Divine Strike, what this does is that this deals attack damage equal to 50% attack and reduces the target's movement by 25%. I'm not too worried about the reduction in movement. It could be helpful if you're trying to get away from them, but because we're a tank, we're not really moving too much, so they're not moving too much. But the amount of procs that we have to be able to crit throughout this entire kit is insane. So we're going to be seeing a lot of divine strikes, right? And you don't even need to crit. You can also just proc this off of damage anyways, and we're doing a lot of instances of damage here. Now, the next talent points you put in is completely up to you, but I'll just read it from left to right, all right? So you're going to pick up this endurance right here. You're going to pick up this light attack, this endurance right here. This is Fearless Shield. Every single time your shield toss does damage, you're gaining even more Radiant Shield, which is going to help your survivability even more, right? Very, very straightforward talent point right here. Next, we've got Light's Crit. This is actually very, very important here. More critical chance, even though this is only 5%, it's very rare to get crit chance here, and you're going to want to stack as much of it as possible. This is why I went down this side of the tree here. This crit chance, let me show you guys something real quick. Crit right here is a very, very valuable resource for you, okay? Now that I moved my big head out of the way, let me explain how this works. So, obviously, everybody really knows how crit chance is working, but for us, it's super, super important that we do get these crits, as you've been seeing with a lot of these talents. You only start out with a 5% basic crit chance right off the rip, and then whatever you do spec into it increases that a little bit more. This, from right off the get-go, increases your crit chance by double percent. Like, you go from 5% to 10% instantly, and then add on every single bit of crit that you stack into your build. I'm still working on getting a lot of the gear to where I need it to be, but we're getting there. We're getting there. The more crit that you have, the better for this build. Now, moving back into the talent tree here, you're going to want to pick up this strength, this endurance, and this endurance right here. Now, we move down into Holy Seal. While having that Radiant Shield, you get even more healing bonus. I originally didn't pick this because I didn't think it was that important until I started doing a lot of the later game stuff. I cannot stress to you how important it is for you to get even more healing. Since you're the tank, you're going to be trying to take as much damage as possible. And when you start getting further down into the harder dungeons and the raids and stuff like that, these mobs are hitting like damn trucks. I have a crossbowman hitting me from Timbuktu, and he's taking out a quarter HP with each basic attack. I need my healer at all times. There is no chance that I am going to be able to survive as a solo tank. At least I don't believe so. I haven't seen it yet because these mobs do way too much damage. I swear to God. So yes, highly, highly, highly recommend you pick up Holy Heal, because while you have that Radiant Shield, you're going to get that extra healing bonus, and that's super, super important. Now, I'm picking up this Ultimate Strike talent here because I don't want to feel like I'm doing nothing at all. What this does is that whenever Divine Strike deals damage, you get more strength, and it stacks up to 5 times. It gives you 10% more damage for 10 seconds. This is super, super important here. Another 10% strength. Check out what this does. Let me explain to you how heavy that is, actually. So I'm sitting here with 1486 strength, right? 10% of that is 148.6. Add that in together, you've got a lot of strength from that one skill. This one talent is definitely important to pick up for damage, if that's valuable to you or not. Next, we've got Lightforged Greatsword, and this is going to help us out not only in the damage department, but also in survivability as well. And let me explain to you why. After every 10 casts of Judgment, the next Judgment you cast is enhanced into Scorching Judgment. Scorching Judgment is going to summon a giant greatsword, and it's going to heal you just as much as Judgment would heal you. But what it's also going to do is do damage over time, inflicting Scorch. Now, this damage is going to equal 600% attack that scales with the Judgment level and rank that you're at. Now, Scorch is going to reduce the damage taken from that target by 3% for 10 seconds, and that stacks 10 times. And if you crit, that gives you 3 stacks on top as well. This is super important because that's going to be another 30% damage reduct on top of everything else that we've already discussed, right? We're becoming very tanky whenever this Judgment cast comes out. Whenever the Scorching Judgment cast comes out, we become very tanky for the next 10 seconds. Next, we move over into Light Chain. While Aegis Ward is active, the chance of Divine Strike is doubled, and every 3 times Divine Strike is triggered, the duration of Aegis Ward is extended by 1 second. This is going to increase our survivability because Aegis Ward is active, and it's going to help us out with our damage as well. The chance to proc Divine Strike originally is 10% from any damage and 50% from critical damage. This is going to buff this up to 20% chance on any damage to 100% if you crit. So as I said, if your Aegis Ward is active, you become extremely not only tanky, but you get a lot more damage out as well. Going over the last few talent points here, we've got this strength node we want to pick up right here, and then this last talent in the tree. This is super important for your Aegis Ward as well. While you have Aegis Ward, again, the translation might be a little bit messed up on here, but it says the block chance is increased to 1.5 times. What I'm imagining is that this is increasing your block chance by another 50%. So, if we have max stacks of Wreck and Shield, that's going to be 25%. If we cast our Shield Toss, that's another 15%, bringing us to 40. And then if we have Aegis Ward active with all of that, I believe that's another 50%, bringing us up to 90% block chance, which is really, really, really nice. We're blocking most attacks in the game if we have all of this active at the same time. Going over the second part for this talent is that when we're attacked, we reduce Aegis Ward's remaining cooldown by 0.5 seconds, and this can happen once a second. So this not only is going to give us more block chance, but it's also going to bring us back our Aegis Ward, which is super important for the build, even faster the more damage that we're taking. That's how that works. All right, now with all of that out of the way, we've got a couple more recommendations for the last few points that I currently can't get access to right now, and not until the game is live for a few more days. What I would recommend is that you go back to the middle of the tree, and right here you pick up this strength node so that you can gain access to this Divine Circle Resonance. What this is going to do is that every single enemy that's inside of your Divine Circle, it's going to increase the damage that Divine Circle does and the healing that it does. This caps out at 10 enemies, and I do believe with the way this is worded is that every enemy, this is a stacked chance. This is a stacked increase. So if I'm reading this right, you're going to get 250% more damage for your Divine Circle and 50% more healing from your Divine Circle. Very, very important to have, if I'm reading that correctly. Next after that, I would recommend one of two things. You can either continue down this tree, so you pick up this Endurance node here, and you can pick up this Sword Dance, so that whenever you deal critical damage with any of the expertise skills, you gain more of a 15% healing bonus. This is going to be super important if you're going after really, really, really tough content in the game. But if your mind is more set towards more damage, you can always come down and pick up this light attack node here, and this right here, Judgment of All Beings. This is going to make it so that when your Judgment only hits one enemy, its damage is increased by 25%. So you can come down here for damage, or you can continue down this tree, pick up the damage for the Divine Circle and the healing for Divine Circle, and then get more survivability right here. Me personally, I'm going to go down this way. I'm going to grab these two and these two because I finally realized how tough the content actually is, and this is super, super valuable. Now that's going to do it for the main build. There's going to be so many more things that change throughout the entire life of this game. I might want to switch some of the talent points in this because certain things might get buffed or nerfed, or a new season comes out, which if you guys are interested, if you come down into the season hub right here and you go into the second tab, you go into Emblem. If you farm up a bunch of these void residues, this void aura, the void prism, you can start speccing into this. This is going to increase your gear score as well, and you're going to be, you could honestly put whatever you want. If you're more interested in damage, you go here. You can take less damage from all these guys. You know, you can go ahead, you could do whatever you want for here. You could farm up so many of these void residues. It doesn't really matter too much. And then when you start getting to a certain point, you can upgrade the main node right here, which is going to let you pick up some extra skills along the way. This one is completely preference. Whatever it is that you want to do, go ahead and rock it. It's not super important to the build. It's more something that just enhances your playstyle, if that makes sense. So go ahead and give that all a read, and you make that decision for yourself. And that's going to be it for the build guide. Now, if you enjoyed this video, do me a couple favors. Hit the like button and leave me a comment on what you guys want to see next, as that tells me and the algorithm that you enjoy this kind of stuff and that I should be making more content about this, alright? And on a side note, my buddy and I, Frantissimo, we started up a guild and we need a lot more members. And if you guys can please join in, as we want to get this guild hall thing going and really get the whole community started, dude, do me a favor. Please join the guild. Only friends. The number is 3264211. If you guys are interested, come on by. We'll accept everybody, all right? Come hang out, come play. I cannot wait to meet you guys in game. I've already met quite a few of you, and it was a blast when we were in those dungeons, all right? That's going to be it for me, guys. I'll see you in the next video, and I'll talk to you soon.